Although Europe's power sector continues to lead on decarbonization, its economy is not electrifying fast enough, at least according to Eurelectric's latest Power Barometer. Mr. Ruby, thank you for joining us. The Power Barometer, what are the key findings?
So the Power Barometer that basically maps key trends in the power sector of Europe came out earlier this month, and I'd highlight three trends from there. The first one is that supply is up very dramatically, understood as massive capacities of renewables coming into the market and a record share of clean energy in Europe's power mix. 74% of all electricity generated in Europe today is carbon-free. Half of it is renewable, and then there's 24% nuclear on top of that. So that's trend number one. Trend number two is that demand is down, and that has to do with the crisis we've been coming through, the price crisis. So we have, on the one hand, increasing supply, on the other hand, lowering demand, and everybody who knows a bit of economics knows that that's not good. We need to balance those two, and that's what we're really concerned about these days.
When the report released, you were quoted as saying the missing piece between the green economy and Europe's competitiveness is that of electrification. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So what's really striking is that Europe has a massive dependence on fossil fuels. In 2023, we imported 451 billion euros worth of fossil fuels from regimes that we don't want to rely on, that we don't share values with. So this is becoming a geopolitical liability for us, but it's also becoming very much a competitiveness issue for us because we don't have those fossil fuels in Europe. We need to import them, and that weighs down on our cost of production. So electrifying the economy is essentially the most cost-effective and the most energy-efficient way of modernizing our economy and transitioning to a, let's say, more climate-friendly type of economy.
When we speak about competitiveness now, Mario Draghi's report has been the main thing on the minds of pretty much everyone in industry. And from what I saw, the grids were a key element of it, but perhaps a bit limited, but also I think there's some interesting takes on electrification. Do you think that electrification was considered enough, or was what are your takes on it?
I would say the good news is that both the so-called Draghi report and the other Prime Minister, Enrico Letta, who also worked out a big report for the European Union. Both of these reports recognize the crucial importance of an increased uptake of green electricity in the economy. And that's essentially a new situation. If we look back 5 years, there was a lot of hype about hydrogen. That has settled a little bit, and there's an increasing recognition that direct electrification is really the way to go. The question and our points of concern in relation to these reports is how do you get there, and how do you, on the one hand, balance the need for increased electrification, and on the other hand, the need for competitively priced energy.
You mentioned prices, and I think what's also interesting is a big takeaway from the report has been on the wholesale market, but also I read somewhere that the prices were empirically only ended the analysis of the Draghi report in the beginning of 2024. What are your thoughts on that?
Indeed. So the report makes a very, very strong case for energy being a decisive factor of Europe's lagging competitiveness and specifically energy prices. There is some truth to that, but it's also important that when we craft policy to let's say, improve competitiveness, that we are up to date on the latest trends in the economy. As I mentioned before, in particular, when it comes to electricity, we have an imbalance between supply and demand. And what that has meant for price formation is that prices have actually consolidated. And on top of that, they've become much more volatile due to the inherent nature of renewables that only produce when the weather conditions are right, and due to the fact that demand is waning. So today we actually have a much more volatile electricity market, which also means a more volatile business case for additional renewables. If we want to change that, we need to jack up demand for electricity, and we need to transition gradually to more long-term pricing arrangements, at least for the new renewables that come into the market.
The new commission is coming into office. What do their priorities need to be?
We like to talk about the 4 I's. The first I is for implementation. We have spent more than 5 years negotiating market reforms, green policies for transport, for industry, for heating, and so on and so forth. It's really crucial that we now actually start doing what we have been putting in writing. So that's the first one. The second one is about infrastructure. It is crucial for us to modernize the infrastructure on which we're going to build this more electrified economy. A lot of the infrastructure that we have was built in the last century, and if we want that infrastructure to be the backbone of the European economy in the 21st century, we really need to modernize it and make it fit for purpose. The third one is about the business case. So the third I is for investments. As I explained, we have an issue with more volatility in the market, and I believe that we're going to see a plateauing of renewable investments unless we get a different situation in the power market, more demand for electricity as the most important piece. So investment business case is our third I, and the last one is for industry. Industrial electrification is a very, very interesting sweet spot that would connect our decarbonization electrification strategy with the big challenge of Europe today, which is our lagging industrial competitiveness. Accelerating the switch from fossil fuels to clean electricity in industry is something that would basically help the business case for new renewables, that would help the competitiveness of our industries, and ultimately help society in our efforts to decarbonize. So that's really why we're focusing now on industrial electrification.
Well, Kristian, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights. For more insights into the energy transition, make sure to join the Enlit community.